Taking this blindfold off to see what this life's all about. Threw my virtues to the ground, drinking from the devil's cup. Take that pill, drink it down, flashing lights all around. High as hell, drunk like I finally don't give a fuck. 'Cause I'm breaking all the rules tonight. Not going down without a fight. As long as I'm still breathing, doesn't matter how hard you might try. We can take this freedom. Waking up, I'm a mess, sleeping on the bathroom floor. Last night's a blur, don't know for sure, but I'm ready for another round. You're talking shit, don't hear a sound. Take a hit and pass around. Highest sound.
Hey everyone, this is Overpass Live. My name is Eric and I make apps. So today I'm coming to you from the new office. I'm hoping we're not going to have any trouble because I've just moved everything and I'm going off Wi-Fi instead of wired Ethernet cable. We may have a few issues here and there, but I hope not. I hope everything goes okay with this live stream. But if it does, let me know. First of all, let me know if you guys can hear me okay, because make sure everything's connected. Testing 1 2 3. So it's been an interesting week. So I did the video from the old office, moved everything over the first couple of days of this week. We've had F8 this week, the Facebook conference. We've had that giant Chinese Android developer get removed from Google Play because they're using ad click software and all that kind of stuff, which we should talk about a bit today. We've had me personally just a lot of moving and upheavals, and I really appreciate all the really great comments that you guys have left on that one last video. So let's just say hello to everybody here. Let's see, Mega Man, you're the first one here. Thank you very much for coming. Hey Josh, how's it going? Chord Funk, hey, how are you? Azimuth, let's see, Fizz007, how's it going? Texture Tree, how's it going? Have you been here before, or am I just not recognizing your name? Sorry if it's that's good. Hussein, how's it going? Hussein Gotkas, a nice new office. Thanks, Fizz007. It's a bit small. Like right now, I have like this conference I don't know if you guys can see it. There's this conference table in the middle, which I was gonna get rid of because of the smaller space, but now I kept it here. And like I recorded tomorrow's video earlier today, and I had to move everything around. I feel like I'm kind of stepping over everything. You know, like if you ever have a place that's just a little bit too small for the amount of stuff that you have, but it comes in handy, especially when clients come by. Let's see, Kenardo Smith, hey, how's it going? Let's see, hearing's okay, cool. Rodrigo's here. It's a party. We hear you loud and clear. Awesome. CH Development, hi, how's it going? Bart Raka, sorry, it kind of sucks when I have to look down here. Bart Raka, how's it going? Let's see, John Mulligan, thanks very much for your emails this week. Yeah, so there was like a thing earlier this week where, John, you were asking me if AdMob was messed up for me, and it wasn't, but apparently, like you said, it was a problem with the reporting, so a lot of people were having trouble with AdMob, but I wasn't for some reason this week, so, which is, it's kind of nice not to be affected, but when you were asking me if there's something wrong with AdMob or you're just having a really bad day, was it yesterday, I was like, nah, everything's fine with me, and it was, but let's see, Mega Man, the shoebox doesn't look too bad. I mean, it is larger than a shoebox. It's not so bad. It's just, you know, before I had so much room, you know, to sit down so I could do like videos from the conference table to over there, but now we have 2 desks, so there's 2 desks in here. You know, the blue stripe on the wall, there's like an orange stripe, which you guys can't see, and it's not so bad. I suppose I think it's you know what? I think the thing that bothers me is it's kind of like a retreat. Like going from the Mustang to the car that I have now it was a step back. There were so many steps forward and there was a step back, and this is kind of a step back, and it still kind of just gets me right here, and that's the thing that bothers me the most. But it could be a lot worse. So it's not so bad. Let's see. Live for Tech. How's it going? Julius, how are you? Status video. Hi. Iman Soft. How are you, Eric? I'm good. I'm good. Surprise. I've had like a really unhealthy day today. I've been eating rubbish today. This week, so I've been getting really good at going to the gym. And this week, I thought I would take a recovery week, and I still was eating really well early in the week. But like today, I drove my son someplace this morning, so we stopped at McDonald's. So I had the sausage and egg McMuffin, which you know what, I can't. I mean, it's like being. It must be what being a crack addict is like. I know I shouldn't have it, but sausage and egg McMuffin, with the hash browns. So I had that, and then I went home and had some leftover pizza for lunch, and then I went to go get my hair cut this afternoon. I had a mocha latte, which I've been trying not to drink too much milk lately. And who knows what I'm going to have for dinner. I might just eat a tub of lard or something. But today's just been one of those days, so I'm kind of feeling sluggish. It's my own doing. But other than that, Iman, I know you didn't want to hear all that, Iman, but yeah, Iman Soft. Bart Racka, anyone affected by the AdSense issue? Yeah, John was asking about that yesterday, and apparently a lot of people were, but I haven't been. My AdMob reporting is fine, but apparently it's just a reporting. Because I remember this happening years ago, where I actually went to an AdMob function in London on the same day where I woke up and I realized that it stopped updating. And at first I thought it was mine. I thought maybe one of my apps had been suspended or something, and I didn't get an email. But it was just a reporting. So if it kicks back in, I think John was telling me that he had communication with Google, and they should get it fixed today, hopefully, if it's still an issue. But like for me, it wasn't an issue at all. Cord Funk says, yo, Eric. Yo, Cord Funk. Have you looked at the new 64-bit requirement starting in August 1st? I haven't on Google Play. I haven't because I think, because I'm using a framework for a lot of things. So I think a lot of things are just going through and I just have to recompile them. So I've my Corona apps I've recompiled. So I've recompiled my Corona apps. The Ionic apps I think might need to be recompiled. But like all that stuff, because it's a framework, I assume the compilation process to take care of that. The only ones I'm really concerned with are my native ones, and I've released those recently. Here's what I did. Here's something stupid. I realized how I'm running out of disk space on my Mac, so I thought I'll just go through and clean up Android SDK. So I did. So I got rid of a bunch of the files, and now I can't build on Android. I have a client that's waiting for a delivery. I've done all the code. Everything looks great, but I want to test it on a physical device, and it's not running because I need to reinstall the Android SDK, and that's something that I need to, I either need to do a full reinstall, which I really don't want to do, or just figure out what files I deleted. It was like the user info images or userimage.info. I can't remember what it is. One of those ones that are huge, those huge files. So I removed those, and now I can't build, which is cool. I mean, it's not cool. It's awful. It's like that's my weekend project to try to figure out so I could do that. So every day I've been coming and saying, okay, that's what I need to do. I need to figure out what's wrong with Android Studio because I messed around with something. And those are the worst kind of things where it's not the code, it's just messing around with desktop settings and stuff. So there's a tangent for you. Let's see. UD say, hey, how's it going, UD? Hey, Billy, what's poppin'? What's poppin', Billy? Mega Man, welcome to the Overpass roast. What, are you guys like laying into me for some reason? CH Development says, Eric, any thoughts on the changes in the Google Play app listings? They don't show the feature image anymore. The strange thing about the feature image is like I haven't seen it in years. It seems like I've always been updating it. The only place I ever see it is if I have a video. Well, I guess on the Android phone you do, but I never see it like on the Google Play page on desktop. So it's always been kind of this weird one where you had to do this feature image, which it seems like they could compile a feature image. Always seemed to me like they could compile a feature image from screenshots if they really wanted to. So, although I take a lot of pleasure in doing the featured image, especially for my own apps. But when we're doing client apps, it's kind of like it's an extra step. We have to go back. What do you want on your feature image? Which usually is followed by, what do you think we should put on it? And then it's back and forth. But Let's see. Cool Boy Mango. What's up, gangsta? What's up, Cool Boy Mango? That's it. That's right. I forgot that. We're gonna call it gangsta because just it seems so out of touch with me. So it's I think so. Rodriguez said dinner is pizza as always. See, it can't be pizza because I had pizza Wednesday night. I had to do something Wednesday night, so I had pizza, and so yeah, that one's already. I can't have pizza twice in the same week. I mean, I can. I can, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Josh says, Eric, what do you think of $1.99 versus $2.99 subscription for my app? Do you think more people will subscribe to the $1.99 one? Josh, I think you need to test that. I would start with $2.99. Start with $2.99 and see how it does. Right? There's no. You have to explore the market on that and see how it does. I mean, because I don't know what the app does for one, and. Okay, I've talked about this before, where when I first released my app. Now this wasn't subscription; this was just straight out app sales. But going for like the 99 cents to begin with, and then trying to grow it after, like trying to raise it afterwards. It's almost easier to start off a little bit higher and bring it down. Because if it works higher, then you're great. But if you do it at $1.99, see, for me it's easy to, if you do it at $1.99 and you're doing pretty well, and you raise it to $2.99. I think you'd be better to go with the other way around, just to be honest with you. Like go $2.99 for a couple weeks, drop it down to $1.99 for a week, see what happens. That way at least you can say for this week only $1.99. That's if it's in your app and people are actually using it. And I just think it's better to go start higher and then go lower. And both of them sound the same to me, right? If depending on the user, I don't think anybody's gonna go, God, if it was only $1.99, I would have done it. Like if they're gonna spend it, they're gonna spend it. If you're talking about like $2.99 and $10.99, then that's a completely different thing, right? That might not have the perceived value, but I think it's such a small window, at least in my opinion. I mean, the rest of you guys can say what you think. Rifat, hey, let's meet in the middle. Okay. Hey, Eric, let's meet in the middle. I'm at Cheapside. I can take the subway. Still, managers, customers get stressed from the contract. Yeah, Rifat. Yeah, so I'm going to London on Tuesday. In fact, there's another email. I got to respond to that. It's in my action box. I forgot who it was who sent it, but yeah, somebody said you want to meet up when we're in London. So I'm going to London on Tuesday for a meeting, and it would be great to, just have a chat. I was talking with somebody yesterday. I've always been very much of a loner, right? When I go someplace, I just pretty much hang out by myself. So I'm not the kind of person who calls up somebody and says, hey, you want to go out for a beer? You want to go out for a coffee? That kind of stuff. I've always just been like, if I run into somebody, I run into somebody. So that'll be cool to arrange a meetup there, Rifat. Thanks. Let's see. CH Development says, from what I can tell, native apps for Google Play does not need any changes for the 64-bit. See, I would imagine, aside from recompiling it, most things won't need much change unless you're doing something that's really low level. Because the Android, Java sits on top of the JDK, so the compilation process is kind of outside your hands. I mean, I've never have somebody told me, I've never seen an example saying, if you're coding for 32-bit, do it this way. Otherwise, do it this way. Do it if you're doing 64-bit. Do it this way. Unless you're doing something with threads or something, I wouldn't even know. Like most of the time, it's just a case of recompiling it. Now, if you do like I've done on some projects where you've like released the app and then you went and tinkered with the code for like weeks and you didn't check it into Git or you check it into source code repository and you're just tinkering with it and then the code is not in a state to re-release, then that's kind of that could be a problem. Or you have like old AdMob libraries or whatever, and you have to go through and do all that stuff. That could be a bit of an issue. But yeah, I think it would. I don't think it's that big of an issue if you have the code in a state to release it. Now, if you've hired developers and they have the code, then that's kind of an issue too. Like some of our client applications, I suppose I should check with them to see if we need to re-release it. But it's also, I don't know if they're actively keeping those going. So I mean, if you have hired other developers, it's probably best to go back to them. Let's see. CordFunk says updated one app with Android X the other day, took forever. So yeah, Android 10. Okay, so should I tell you that? I guess nobody told me I'm not allowed to say this, but I was contacted by a publisher asking if I wanted to do the book for Android 10, and it has to be published by November. So it's one of the major computer book publishers, right? Which I thought, I got that in thinking, ooh, that sounds like a lot of work. I'm not sure if I want to do that. But the other part of me thinks, ever since I was a kid, I wanted to write a book, and doing a book on Android 10 would be like really, really cool. So that's something that this weekend I'm going to work on too. And I'm thinking about just committing to it because I'll find the time. It's one of these things where, if you just commit to it, you're going to make it work. Like if you say, I'm going to run a marathon in 6 months, then that decision is the hardest bit. You're thinking, I don't know if I have the time to run all that time. But once you say, yes, I'm going to do it, you got to find the time, and everything else gets pushed aside. And this might be one of those things that's important. So when you talk about upgrading to Android 10, I'm thinking I would need to learn all of those different things, like the specifics, because most of the time I do stuff cross-platform, but I've done a lot of Android development in the past. So that's something that I'm looking into doing, which is kind of exciting. Sorry, I'm rambling. Rodrigo says, Eric, Ionic doesn't need to be recompiled unless it uses crosswalk. Not sure about Corona, but tell me one of the apps and I'll check if it supports 64 bits or not. Yeah, Rodrigo, I'm more thinking about, Ionic shouldn't need to be updated, but I don't know, if it's something that hasn't been updated I've got Ionic apps that were released 4 years ago. So I don't know if that was using 64-bit back then. Because it wasn't, it's more that, they keep those things really up to date. So if it's something that's been released in the last year, I'd imagine, or year or two, I don't even know, it's probably even longer than that, because they're, I haven't. Let's see, Fist007, where's your new office located, Eric? I'm actually in the same building, so I'm on the other side. So when I said I moved office, it was really just lugging stuff from, down the hallway, around the corner, that kind of stuff. So I'm still in the same building, so it's not too far away. Let's see. Over on Arima says on Facebook Live. We have a Facebook Live comment. So we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and we're on YouTube. So thanks Karima Arima for being over on the Facebook side. When you release a new app, how does it do it? Do you get traction, or do you have to market it first? If so, how much do you spend on marketing a newly released app, and how are the returns in terms of revenue? So Arima, it's a good question because the app stores are so crowded. We got like 3 million apps on Google Play. We've got at least 1 million on App Store. I can't remember what the stats are anymore. But so when you release an application, if you can find something that people are actually looking for, then you might be okay without having to do marketing. Something that people are already looking for, but it's not already too crowded. So let's say if there's a real need for your product and people are already searching for it. Now, if there's a real need for your product and people don't know it exists, then yeah, you might have to do some marketing and get that out there for them to find it. Or if it's something that that they're using, and then you can find something like it's not too crowded. So let's say you had something like, let's say you had a Twitter client. Like before, I remember when everyone's releasing their own Twitter client using the Twitter APIs. That's something that could be very, very crowded, and it'd be very difficult to get into. But it's also the kind of thing where if people are dissatisfied with the Twitter client that they're using, then they might go find something else. Like they're not happy with the default one. They don't like, was it Twerpy? I don't even know which ones are out there anymore. But back in the day, like HubSpot or whatever, right? If somebody's looking for something like that, they might actually be doing it. So, like I know with YouTube videos, they will recommend, like when it first comes out, they will recommend it to more people so they can see if it gets any traction. So like so I think you get this bump in the beginning where if somebody's searching for something, you might appear a little bit higher in the rankings, and then if you start getting some traction, then they might bump you up, but otherwise they might move you down to the bottom. That's the way the YouTube videos work. So if I release a video and it gets really good views in the first couple hours, they start recommending it to a few people. If it gets a lot of views, and they'll start recommending it more because that's the social proof that it's doing well. Otherwise, it just sort of fizzles off. So, and I think I would imagine that apps work the same way, right? And it used to be like in the early days, you would see this big burst in the beginning, but now you put something out there and you really have to work to get people to find it. So I think you have to think about marketing, Arima, now more than ever. And not just marketing in terms of I have to spend money on a marketing budget, but how do you get that in front of people? I mean, if people are looking for it, how do you get their attention? The same with anything else. I mean, it's if you're doing a game and it's similar to another game, and you think people who like this game will like my game, then you have to think, how do I reach out to those people? I've identified that audience, and how do I reach out to them? Maybe I could create an ad. Maybe I could do if I have the money, I could do a Facebook ad that targets people who like that game. If it's like through social media or something like that, maybe I could find people who are talking about it. Maybe I could find people who are tweeting about it, and I could reach out to them. What you can't do is use that other name in your description or anything like that. I mean, you probably get removed because you're using their name to promote yours and stuff like that. But it's really, I mean, it's a difficult. It really depends on the app and what you do. If you want us to have a look at it, Arima, let us know. We can have a look at it together. Let's see. CH Development says I kind of use my first. Lost my place. CH Development says I kind of use my first image in the screenshot now as a feature image. Yeah, that makes more sense. I mean, at least like the feature image, you never know who's going to see it, right? That never made sense to me. If you use that first feature image as a first screenshot, you'd actually be better off because at least you know people will see it. Let's see. Is that Alexander? What is client work exactly? So when I heard a lot about it from you. So when I talk about client work, I talk about doing work for other people. So we do work for ourselves. So the ideal situation is I have two streams of income. I have my own applications, which I've developed. I've developed my own on my own a little bit, but I've also had other developers do it. So I've hired other developers to do it, but they're under my name and they make me money. So every day I wake up and I make a bit of money from my own applications, and that's the best. And if I just had like a whole bunch of those, then perfect, right? It's great. So we're working on our own products. Or if we did our own product and sold it to companies, then we would become a product company rather than a services company. So I would say, like we have like say if I develop a CRM, or my team develops a CRM, or I hire developers and commission them to do a CRM, then we would have that. I would sell that CRM to other people or to clients, right? When I talk about client work, I talk about we have clients and we're building things for them. So it's not my application. I don't make any money. I make money from it based on doing it, right? It's almost the same as, let's see, if I'm a plumber, if I'm doing the plumbing in my own house, right, versus doing plumbing for other people, right? But like imagine my house was something that made me money too. So that's the whole thing. The ideal situation is doing your own applications and making passive income for that. But while you're building that up, you might as well make money by helping other people do it. It helps hone your skills better. It makes you better as a developer. It gets you better at the soft skills of it. So being able to get better at conversations. Like for me, I'm a very introverted person. I've always have been. I've been very shy and quiet, and I'm not really good at conversations. But I've gotten better to the point where when I do have a conversation, I do okay. But I'm not and I talk to somebody and they talk about how they would hate to work in an office by themselves because they like the social interactions of an office. I don't necessarily like the social interactions of an office. I like the solitude. I like having those long moments of time in which to think. So doing client work was something that was part of it. I had to learn my people skills a little bit better. Even when I was contracting and I was going out looking for jobs, I had to work on my people skills a bit more. I had to. Whereas I know other software developers who would never pick up a book on NLP or customer service or interviewing techniques. I was like, I'll game the system. Tell me what the tricks are, and I'll do it. And that's kind of what I do. So So client work is not that bad, but it's also very stressful because you're trying to please somebody else, and sometimes they might not know what they want. So they like you're just trying to, you're always trying to do a good job, but it's difficult when you're doing something creative. You're doing something creative for other people. So yeah, when I talk about client work, I talk about not a specific client, but just clients in general. So we have a bunch of clients. Let's see. Julia says, how big is the earn difference between banner and video ads? It's quite big. I mean, I use banners, but like the eCPM on banners is really low. But I mean, they're also not intrusive, so it's easy to put them in there. But I do make revenue from banners, but the bulk of mine is from not necessarily videos, because it doesn't work with mine. Although I've done some rewarded ads on using videos, but most of the ads it's just interstitials. So the interstitials have done the best for me. So yeah. So and so what does working for clients consist of? It's a case of marketing the company. What can we do? What kind of portfolio do we have? Yeah, having that first meeting. So like we have a process. We actually have some documented processes on how things work, and then we always amend those as we go forward. But usually what happens is somebody will call up, or they'll go to our website, or they'll fill in a form, or they'll email us, whatever, and then we'll schedule like a first conversation. We'll give them a ballpark quote first, saying, because what is it you're looking for? Give a ballpark, because I don't. Yeah, so give a ballpark just so that they know what kind of budget we're talking about, not to waste anyone's time, not to waste their time, not to waste our time. And then we schedule a phone call, have a quick 15-20 minute phone call. And then if we're happy, if they're happy, we're happy, then we decide we'll go forward. And then we'll do, then after that, the process is we do a face-to-face meeting, or a longer call, either a call or a web meeting, or even an in-person meeting, and then we'll go away and just do the sketch out the wireframes and the flow charts and things like that. There's one thing that I've gotten really good at over the last few years is when somebody's telling you their app idea, they're like talking in terms of abstract things, and I'm thinking in terms of interfaces and flow charts and back-end engines. And a lot of times I'm sketching down flow charts as we're speaking, and then I just have to get back to my computer so I can put them into either Balsamic or Lucidchart or one of these other things, so I can put it down before I forget it. So let's see. Harsh Sharma says, Eric, I have developed an app. I need app screenshots and an app description with ASO techniques. Also, app marketing. How much money do I need to spend on this stuff? You shouldn't need to spend anything on it, Harsh. I mean, it depends. You only need to spend money on it if you want to hire somebody professionally to do it. And hiring somebody professionally is like hiring somebody professionally to clean your house, right? They'll do a better job than you. They'll free up your time, but you can learn how to do it if you really need to do it. If you can't afford to do it, you could do it, right? You have to have a look read a few things on ASO. And app marketing. You're talking about, and think about the core question you need to ask, Harsh, or answer is, how do I get people to find my application? Is it something gimmicky? Is it something that you can get them to spread? Is it something, if you were to send somebody an email saying in one sentence why they should download your app, would it be compelling enough for them to do it? Not download my app because it's fun, download my app because it's interesting, but like for me, the killer thing is this app can help you hear better, or this app can help you learn this language, or this app can help you do this. And if it's something that you're genuinely interested in, then you'll be compelled to do it. But in terms of like the screenshots and the icon and the ASO techniques, those are really important. I think it's really difficult to know what to put in those screenshots unless you know who your user is, or at least you have an idea who your user is. Sometimes it might surprise you that it's somebody different. Like for me, it was early on with my EarSpy app or Ear Agent app, was going through and thinking these are going to be people who are hard of hearing, they want to hear the TV better, and it was just kind of boring screenshots. But then it kind of stepped back and think, know the more subversive side of it. And I can remember after the app was released, I was riding my motorcycle to a contract in Basingstoke. It was like an hour, so I'm always just daydreaming about stuff. And I remember thinking about it, like, who would my users be? And I think they would be irreverent, they would be fun, they would be sarcastic, they would be, and then so based on that, I went through and I rewrote the copy on the description. We added this little slogan at the beginning when the app opens up, something a little bit more sarcastic, something I thought would be a bit more fun. I went through and removed anything that looked like it was just functional, and I put this banner on it saying, warning, eavesdropping could result in hurt feelings, right? And it was just sort of adopting that creepiness of it, that it was teasing the fact that it was this creepy application, and it did really well. But the only way I came to that was trying to think who the users are. I mean, what is it they're going to want to do? And if you read a lot of marketing books, they talk about building a client avatar, which is, I think, easier said than done. But if you could think about it, for me, the ideal users is usually me. Like, what kind of stuff would I like? Like when I do these videos, I think, what kind of stuff would I like to talk about? And I find that whenever I change my focus and try to think about what somebody else would want rather than what I would want, then it becomes less satisfying for me, and I think it becomes, you could tell. So Harsh, I think that's what you need to look for. Who are your target users and what are they doing? Alg says, hey Eric, do you still think it's a good time to enter the app market even though it's saturated? I used to develop apps and made good money, but had to stop due to lack of time. Do I think it's a good time to enter the app market even though it's saturated? I think, and I've said this many times before, but I think every market is going to get saturated. Every market is going to be, because somebody comes, this is the progression of things. It goes to something new comes out, a few people jump in there and are able to make it work. A few more people see that, they jump in and try to make it work. Somebody else jumps in and says, I can't make this work, but I'm going to sell this course on how to make it work. Like, I'm going to say how to get rich with the App Store, how to get rich with this. And then a bunch of other people jump into that, and everybody thinks it's easy and free money, but it isn't. You have to differentiate yourself like you do in every other industry. Like, if you were going to become an actor in Hollywood, you don't think, oh, I should have done this back in the 1920s when it was easy. You just think, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to build this. If you wanted to open up a shop in town, you wouldn't think the time to do this would have been before there was those other shops. Now I can't do it. At some point, you have to jump in there, throw your hat in the ring, and make it work. And it is saturated, and it's going to stay saturated. It's almost, this is one of the things I like about iOS is, it sounds stupid, the fact that I have to pay $99 a year for iOS, for the App Store, is annoying in some ways, but in other ways, it's like, it means that a lot of apps fall off the App Store, right? Just, developers just go away. They tried it, didn't work, so they're not worried about it. It regulates itself, all right? Unless somebody's like, I haven't made any money from this app, it hasn't done very well, but I'll still pay the $99 or whatever. But I know a lot of developers who just let it lapse. But the Google Play, it doesn't lapse, it just stays there forever. And again, this is probably one of the good things about the 64-bit. At least some of those apps can just disappear, which is good, or get removed or whatever. But yeah, I mean, if you're going around looking for things that are not saturated, then you have to, at some point, you have to do what you want to do. If you're trying to make apps because it's lucrative and you can make a lot of money doing it, then there's nothing wrong with that, I suppose. But you'd be much better at it if you really enjoy doing it. I love creating software, and I love having creations of my own spread and just kind of grow. But I also like doing software for organizations and companies, and that's something I enjoy doing too. And it's not because I can make money doing it. It's mainly because I really enjoy doing it. Like, if you came to me and said, I would give you would make twice as much working at a toll booth, at a bridge, at a toll booth, collecting money. Like, we'll pay you 200 grand a year. Would you do it? And, well, would I do it? I might. but it would be like a really hard decision, because it's not all just about the money. It's about what we enjoy doing. And if you're going to do something that you love, then you're going to have to learn to differentiate yourself and move through that crowd. And everything's going to be saturated. Again, like Hollywood, for example. If you want to write a book, you have to learn you have to perfect your craft and think about, how can I stand out from the crowd on this? If you're going to be an actor, how do you stand out from the crowd on this? If you're going to be anything, I mean, it's the illusion that it's easy that makes it hard for the rest of us, I think. But that's just my idea. Mega Man 2016, Eric, do you use MailChimp or something else for collecting emails? So I've used MailChimp. So every month I pay MailChimp and I pay GetResponse. And I've never really been very good at that. It's one of those things on my to-do list, which is fix our newsletter, get going on that. For years, we had our Overpass newsletter, which was really just the RSS feed from the blog would go in and go out. I've written this email sequence to go out, but I don't know if it's even working anymore through GetResponse. And the difference between GetResponse and MailChimp, in my opinion, is GetResponse has a lot more functionality, but I'm finding a lot of emails go straight to spam in GetResponse, and MailChimp doesn't, which is like a huge thing. But the most success we've had with it was in our applications, where we had a spy school newsletter, and we had like a 13-week course. 13-week sequence of emails that would go out talking about the spy school. So how to wear a disguise, how to eavesdrop on bad guys, that kind of stuff. And we put that into the application, and rather than this is so stupid, because the developers were supposed to integrate the API into the application, and they were just like, it was just such a hassle. So in the end, we just opened up a web page, and then I had a web page with the autoresponder, the opt-in form on there, and then we had like 4,000 subscribers through that in a very short amount of time. And then I found out I was paying MailChimp all this money, and I thought, okay, we'll do affiliate links. So we'll put a bunch of affiliate links in there, so at least we'll make some money from this. And then every time I'd put an affiliate link in, I go to like ClickBank and I try to find something spy related. And every time I'd put that into MailChimp, they would disable the email sequence because they said it was spammy, which is, to be fair, yeah, probably. But so I kept getting it removed. So in the end, I never sold anything through affiliate links that way. And then I ended up just removing the newsletter from the app. But it's something I keep. It's on my to-do list to go back and do that. And I think the reason is I put the affiliate links directly in. Sorry, this is really geeky, I know, but I think I put the affiliate links directly in the email. And probably what I should have done was have landing pages for each one of them. That way they can go to landing page and then have it go that way, right? Rather than go straight through. But let's see. UD says app development. The client says what they want and they'll develop it and launch it. Yep. So let's see. Cord Funks, you should go for it. I'll buy the book. Thanks. It's a scary proposition though, because I'm thinking, oh yeah, I got to get So I'm thinking about doing the Android book, but at the same time, I ruined my Android development environment earlier this week, and I have to fix that this weekend. And sometimes you just get those issues that you really need to do that. John Mulligan says, regarding the 64K, this will mainly affect apps that use NDK, including C++ libraries. OpenCV would be an example of this. You could need to build both 32 and 64-bit SO files. Yeah, that's what I think. I think it's the nice thing about Java is it's built on top of. Java runs on the Java virtual machine. My understanding has always been. I assume Android Java is the same, but it runs on top of the virtual machine, which runs on top of the hardware. So you're not directly communicating with the hardware the way you are with C++. But yeah, this goes outside my comfort zone in some ways. UD says, hey Eric, I recently started loving React Native. Cool. What's your opinion on using Expo versus without Expo? I don't know what Expo is. Is that a bad? So when it comes to React Native, my developers work with React Native. I've done some with React Native, but not a whole lot myself. Let's see. Would games use C++ libraries? John says they is what is it? What is that? Cocos 2DX. That's Objective C, isn't it? I'm not sure. Tom says, hey Eric, any reason why AdMob will stop showing ads for a month and then start showing them again? I can't think of anything. I wonder. Not for a month. I mean, I wonder whether or not they run out of inventory at any point with all the different ad placements out there. But no, I can't think of any reason. I mean, I haven't had that issue. I don't think so. I mean, I haven't really looked at the fill rates so much. I mainly look at the revenue, and as long as the revenue is consistent, I don't really drill down unless I need to. But yes, ChordFunk says, hey Eric, have you started using the app bundle on Google Play? I think they call it managed code signing or something like that. I haven't. I mean, because I was using app bundles on iOS for a while, and that seemed to work pretty well. But I haven't done it, and I can't think of a really good reason why I haven't. I'm using Corona for a lot of the applications, but no, I haven't. I should. Let's see. Rifat says, Eric, are you too open to experience? Do you think that it's hindering your success? In some ways, Rifat, I think in some ways I am. There's that shiny object syndrome. When somebody says, do you want to write this Android book? And part of me was like thinking, no, that I don't have time for that. I got other stuff to do. And the other part of me thinks, this is something that complements everything else. So like an example of a tangent would be, we did a news website called the Tech Sensei because I had people in the Philippines. Weren't doing anything, so that you could work on the Tech Sensei. So we had this news website, and then it became this other thing that was just detracting from the focus of the main thing. I did the same thing a lot of people do, where they think, I'll have several side businesses. I'll have loads of side businesses and loads of things going on and loads of irons in the fire, and then just the focus was just gone. And so that's why I need to bring everything back and focus on the stuff that we do. And that was one of the things where I thought about with an Android book is I don't want to defer the focus. However, it is the kind of thing where I think that's the kind of thing where I think a year from now I would kick myself for not doing it, right? Whereas opposed to other things, it would be like, let it, I would be fine with not doing it. So Bizwajit, hey, how's it going, Bizwajit? Says, hey Eric, I updated screenshots and used App Annie for keywords in my game Dark Space Legends. Please take a look. Hope you're doing well in your new office. Thanks. Okay, so we're gonna look at this app now from Bizwajit, and I know that I need to catch up. I'm way behind on questions and stuff. So let me show my screen. Let's see. So, all right, first of all, I wanted to talk about this article, which I have up here, which I don't know if you guys have heard this, and this has nothing to do with Bizwajit's app, but we've been watching. I'm going to do a video about this sometime next week, but Google's banning the Play Store developer with 500 million app downloads, this Dode Global. And basically what they did was they had an ad clicker software in some of their apps, so they were somehow mimicking ad clicks, and it's a very interesting article. And again, I want to talk about it more in depth on one of the daily videos. But there's this they were using, let's see, what was it? They were using a certain library able to mimic AdMob clicks, and even though they were a giant publisher, they still get removed from Google Play. And I think it was just the reason I wanted to do the video on it was just to show that you just can't fool Google. There's no way to, you're gonna get caught if you try to do something like that. And plus, like for me, I don't trust putting anybody's SDKs in my applications because I'm always afraid that there's gonna be something in there I don't know what it does. Right? It's like putting a special ingredient in something that you don't know anything about. So like if you're going to put an ingredient in your food and you don't know the core ingredients for that, you can't verify that you don't have a virus or some sort of dodgy thing in there. let's see. So Dark Space Legends by Biswajit. So we've changed our screenshots from last time, and it still says unreleased. Am I okay? So it still says unreleased. We've got so Biswajit. They're cool screenshots. I do think these are cool screenshots. I do think you could put some text on there a bit. I mean, I'm not sure what the rest of you guys think. I think the icon looks really good. So we said, updated a screenshot, use some app and keywords for my Dark Space Legends. Please take a look. Hope you're doing well in the new office. So yeah, Space Shooter, cool. Dark Space Legends, unreleased. Cool. Let's see. Have you noticed a difference in terms of, because I don't remember how we looked at it last time, but let's have a look at App Annie. So have a look at the keywords on App Annie here. Can you see my screen okay? All right. And oh no, not that one. Oh, I hate that when a pop-up menu comes up and steals your click. Here we go, Dark Space Legends. Okay, so ASO. So since you changed your keywords, what's changed? So we've got Dark Space Legends, Dark Space, Dark Legends. So I think Space Shooter, I think, is a really, really competitive one. Let's go to United States. So I'm not sure if that's something that you need to think about. Dark Legend. So yeah, I think we keep playing around with that, Biswajit. Keep playing around with your keywords there, because I think Space Shooter. I mean, it's good that you have that in the description or in the title rather, but it's still I think you might need something different. I don't know, maybe shooter. I don't know what you could do with shooter that would be synonymous with it. Something somebody would search for, but something to look into. Let's see, Kuboy Mango says, how do you go about acquiring clients? So Kuboy, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. So getting clients for me was like one of the difficult things to do when I started. I set up my company and I thought I want to get clients, and I want to have my own technology company, and then I just assumed people would find me. They'd find me through the web, or they'll be searching, and the same way a lot of us do with our apps. We think we'll just build it and then they'll come, but that wasn't the case. There was too many other software companies out there, too many other things, and the only chance I had is somebody searched locally, right? And they want, I want somebody in the same town, and occasionally I would get calls from that, but not really much anyway. So I started building up more content, started doing better stuff with the app, started thinking about how do we get stuff out there. And I focus a lot on inbound stuff. So I'm not really a cold caller. I'm really bad at doing that. So we put out content and we think about what would our ideal clients be searching for and how can they find that. And sometimes it's not always what the ideal client would be searching for. Sometimes it's just put something out there and just keep things fresh, and try to looking at the Google algorithms and how do we get up to the top of that. Looking at different stuff there. But for a while, sometimes it depends. We'll do Facebook ads sometimes, but I haven't found a lot of success in that. We've done cold emailing before GDPR, but now we're kind of backing off the cold email stuff. And a lot of stuff is just people, they're coming in, they find us, they find one of our, they might find a video, they might find our website, they might find that. So it's really doing all that. So, but in terms of, that's it. The step one, the same thing with an app. The step one is they have to know that you exist. When they're either looking for it or they've heard about you, and they find you. Step two is getting them as clients, and then that's the whole other process, which is, how do we impress them? How do we show that we're professional? All that kind of stuff too. So, I mean, it's a really big topic, Kuboy. So I mean, we can talk about that for ages. Let's see. CH Development says Flutter Dev documents. So the resources FAQ here. ChordFunk, did you want us to look at that? Let's see. Where am I? So, okay. I've lost my place. I'm way behind on the comments. I'm so sorry, everybody. I'm sure there's people who ask a question and leave. Okay, ChordFunk says, I built a Flutter app for a client, and at least the default didn't compile a 64-bit version. Seriously, a Flutter application didn't. It goes on the subject under what devices OS version does Flutter run on. Oh, see, I would have thought that would have been like a thing. So let's have a look at the screen here again. So this comes from CH Development. Okay, yeah, so the ARM7 or ARM64. Note, Flutter currently does not support building for x86 Android directly. However, it's built for ARM v7 or ARM64. Will run fine and on many x86. I thought ARM64 is ARM v7. Oh, okay, yeah, this is something maybe I do have to have a look at a bit more. Let's have a look. It goes on, so it says it goes on under the subject of what devices the OS developer on. Let's see. Fiction Studios. Does anyone use image hosting API free for commercial use? Image hosting API. I don't use any. I use, if we host images, like if we're doing something like we have a client application that needs to download images for something, I always use Amazon S3 bucket, but that's not free. You have to pay for bandwidth, but it's the cheapest option. We've used images in Firebase using the document store, and it was just so expensive. The download limits just went off the hook. So we had a solution where we have Firebase over here and AWS for S3, but it was just it was too expensive when we went through and did that. Cloudinary. Oh, Cloudinary sounds like one. Like a simple blog app which has images. Yeah, I'm not aware of any. And I would imagine a lot of times, like if you were to host it, if you just like a free blog software or something to host the images, sometimes if you're hot linking them, they might block those kind of stuff. So check on that. Let's see. Bart says anyone's AdMob's revenue lower in the first few days of May. Mine were fine. So let's see. John says, can any of your viewers recommend a good ad companies to use with AdMob mediation? I've tried Facebook, InMobi, AppLovin, any other good ones. Yeah, I've used AppLovin, I've used InMobi, and I've used Facebook Audience Network, but I wasn't impressed with any of them either. Yeah, if anybody has a good one that you think is really working, yeah, let us know. We won't tell anyone. We'll just keep it between us. See, Josh says those are both CPA though. You should research a lot. Don't put Vungle ads inside a normal app which is not oriented towards gaming, for example. Yeah, that was one of the things I did. I put Vungle inside Ear Agent, which did not work. A lot of people complained because it was supposed to be the spy app where you're sneaking and listening to other people's conversation, and you have this loud video ad that goes off. That was one of my bad steps that I've taken. RY says, I'm taking mobile programming this semester. Super pumped. Awesome, RY. You should do it. Don't wait. Just start doing it now. Go take a course now. Do a tutorial. Don't wait. Don't let somebody else teach you. Take control of your education, RY. Let's see. So Yudi says, so you make $100,000 a year. Look, man, I'm not gonna. Let's see. Alex says, thanks for the helpful advice. No problem. Do you think it's better to focus on multiple projects that have potential to make money, or to put all of your time and money into one? Good question. We talked about this on a video before too, I'm sure several times. Is it better to have one app or many apps? And I've always been of the opinion that it's better not to put everything into one basket, all your eggs into one basket. However, if you have a basket that you know is working, then you need to focus on that. So, and especially now, because if you have too many apps, Apple will start rejecting you. You got the repetitive content policies on Google Play. You're spreading your focus. You got too many things to look out for. Like right now, like whenever there's a new policy that comes in, like GDPR was, for example, or even the 64-bit, I've got a whole bunch of apps I have to look at, and I have to think which ones are deserving of my time, because there's only a handful that are really that are making me the money. But I want to strike the same level of success with something else, and I like the idea of putting something new out there. I don't want to just be a guy who has one app. But I know other people who have. They've gone away. The other side of it is, I know other developers have gone away and they spent 6 months or a year or 2 years working on their dream app, making it perfect. Then they release it and then nobody downloads it and they can't figure out why. And that's scary to me too. Is putting everything into the one basket. So I think it's a balance between the two of them. But I do think you shouldn't have too many. That's kind of one of the mistakes I think I've made. Dolly Advertising. Hey, how's it going? Is it wisely or not to launch a free app without adverts on the first days? I don't think it's like the thing about releasing an app in the first few days and you're not really getting any traction. I don't think there's a downside to that. I think if you were to release an app and you're not getting a lot of downloads and you have a bunch of ads in it, then you might as well not even release it, right? You're getting a bad user experience. But I think it's probably, it doesn't sound like a bad strategy to me, Dolly Advertising. Because you could build up the reviews, you could do all that kind of stuff. Not to say that people will give it a bad review if it has advertisements, but it depends on how tasteful they are, I suppose. Buwan Adukari says, future of blockchain? I don't know. I know very little about blockchain. Every time somebody tries to explain blockchain to me, my eyes glaze over. I mean, it has to. I know when they talk about currency and the ledgers and the distributed data storage, and it sounds really cool to me. But whenever I get into I think it's because everyone who's tried to explain it to me has been non-developers. They're like, it goes back to currency, it goes back to Bitcoin, it goes back to Ethereum, all that kind of stuff. And what I want to do is, where else can you use blockchain? And I know there's blockchain, like there's a YouTube built on blockchain. There's like a whole bunch of applications built on blockchain, but they always seem very slow to me. So I haven't done a lot of looking into that. So, but I hope. I mean, the idea of it sounds great. Like just being able to secure everything, have everything distributed, have contracts that are you're just opening all that information up. I think I like the idea of it, but when I think about the practical applications, for me, it feels like it goes over my head, which I know sounds bad, but it just does. And I think if I said, it's one of those things, I think there's probably a eureka moment that I haven't had yet when I look at blockchain. Like if I looked at it enough, like I remember with object-oriented programming, it sounds stupid now, but I mean, in the early days, I can remember I just didn't get it. I just didn't understand. Why would you do it that way? Why would you code it that way if you didn't have to? And then finally, when there was that eureka moment where I saw somebody implement like a really elegant solution, and then I was hooked, right? It was like, I see. Same with unit testing or whatever, or dependency injection. Dependency injection is a really good idea. Why would you bother coding it this way? And people try to give reasons. Well, what if you change your database engine? What if you had a different provider or whatever? And you're like, but that's not going to happen. That's not going to affect me. But then when you see it elegantly done, you think, I see. That just makes sense. That's the way that you would code it. So I think when it comes to blockchain and a lot of other technologies too, which I think are just a little bit outside of over my head, it's having that eureka moment. And I think that I need to have that with blockchain. Let's see. Alg says, as Dolly asked, would it be good to launch without ads or not? Because you would actually lose potential ad views equals money. It depends. I mean, if you had an ad that takes off and you don't have any, if you have an app that takes off and you don't have any way to monetize it, then, see, I would think that if you were to release a second version and you had ads in it and you had like happy users, that might be, they're going to get angry anyway, right? So, but yeah, so. I don't know. Highlights time. Hey, Eric, released my first Flutter app today. Fantastic. Should we have a look at it? Should we? I like time. Let's have. Do you want to put it on here? Alex says, "What's your opinion on app promotion agencies, like the ones selling app installs? Is it a good way to get up the rankings?" I mean, is it when you talk about selling app installs? Is it like they're actually selling ads which bring in installs? Because when they talk about buying installs, they're either talking about buying installs like a cost per install ads, which is legal, or they're talking about all these bots that are downloading your app, which is not legal. So that, I mean, doing things that are not legal, I just think you're gonna get caught, right? And it bothers me that I know I'm sure there are apps out there that are getting away with it, but hopefully they'll come down on them at some point. And when there's that big reckoning, when Google Play cracks down on all those guys, and I don't want to be in the firing lines. I want to have a clean conscience. RY says, I've seen C++ games like SFML library or SDL. Cool. NFJ Innovation, sorry, says, do you have apps on Amazon App Store? I do, but I haven't updated them in ages. I mean, for me, I've been so disappointed with the Amazon App Store, but I say this all the time. Other people love Amazon App Store, but for me, I just never had much success with it. In fact, today, just like 2 hours ago, I got an email from Samsung Store, the Galaxy Store, saying that they've removed one of my apps. Doesn't say which app they've removed, but I haven't updated anything in there like 4 years. It was almost like, well, God, I forgot I had apps on that app store. But you know, that's so that's the same with Amazon for me. It's like I haven't updated them. I do have apps on there. I couldn't tell you what the stats are. Never check. Let's see. My VIP says, "Hey Eric, there was bad days on Google 2nd and 3rd where Google ad system was down for hours, including AdMob. We lost 30% of our revenue. What about your side?" For me, it was fine, but my understanding was that was just the reporting, right? I mean, ads were still being served and this reporting was down, because I haven't noticed anything there on my side. Fiction Studio says Unreal Game Engine is C++ engine, which PUBG is developed, whereas Unity is C# based 3D game engine. Yeah, see, you guys seem to know a lot more about game engines than I do. Let's see. Amalg says, for games, it's difficult to get users for a unique game because people aren't directly searching for similar games, so ASO wouldn't work. How do you get users for a unique game without having to spend lots of money for marketing? Well, that's the same thing. I mean, if you were going to develop something that a totally new anything, you have to educate. That's one of the problems about doing something that's innovative, is you have to educate people that it exists and that they need it. So Carol VDW, hey Eric, hey Carol VDW, how's it going? Alexander, thank you for sharing your experience. Definitely carry on watching your channel, a great source of information. Thanks for watching. Let's see, this comes from Hawk. Says, my app rarely gets any installs. Do you have any tips? Here's the link. So we're gonna have a look at Hawk's, is it Hawk or Hawk? Hawk's game here, Hawk's app. Let's go over to screen share. Pull up coach, cool. All right, so we got the pull up coach unreleased. So I don't understand the unreleased part. This is the second time I've seen unreleased today, and I've never actually, unless it's it's not in beta, is it? Did you guys add unreleased to the title, or is that actually done on there? So we've got Pull-Up Coach is an app with daily workouts and goal improvements for your pull-ups. This app can be great to prepare yourself for the Army of Fire Brigade or physical fitness test. Okay, so that's features. Okay, cool. So when we have this, we have to think about what people are searching on and how well it's doing. So when was it released? 5th of April. So we're talking about a month. Let's do this. Let's go back to App Annie and have a look. Because I would think, I don't know if pull-ups, I don't know how competitive that is. But let's go to, so this is Pull-Up Coach on Google Play. For pull-ups, you're ranking number 31. Actually, not bad. Pull-up, you might want to try Chin Up. In the UK, it's Chin Up. I mean, oh yeah, you have chin up. So you're chin up 212 on chin up, pull ups 53. So actually, you have to think about pull ups strength. So my question here to you, Hawk, would be like, how is your acquisition report look? Are you showing up in search results? Because I mean, that doesn't look too bad. If you're showing up in search results and they're not clicking on it, and they're not actually showing page views, then we have to look at the icon. And you might want to try a Google Play experiment where you have a few more different icons. I think that looks pretty cool, but let's have a look. If I was going to do pull-ups. If I do pull-ups, I got, load. So I've got a bunch of these kind of stuff, pull-ups. They all look surprisingly similar to each other. In fact, I mean, I would be upset if these two here look almost identical. Same with that, the red and the black. Same. I mean, they're just. So I mean, how can we stand out from these other ones, which are basically the same kind of thing? And you've got this one here. I've always been opposed, and I don't know, it's just something about me. I've always been opposed to using real like stock images in icons. I like having something like a silhouette or something. I think this looks cool mainly because it looks like my Ear Spy icon. In fact, they all kind of red and black, and I guess I'm not that original. So, but it's amazing how many of these look similar. You know what? I think that would bother me if I was the first one to come out with that, and loads of others. But so what you could do is try like a Google Play experiment and try some different icons here. If you're not getting it, if you're getting people coming through on that, that's good. Yours is one of the few here that doesn't have any stars on it. Why don't you have any stars? I mean, even your own self should have a star. And your what's new section has bug fix. That's an opportunity to add more to it. So increase that. And also I think the biggest thing here is you need to have some way to have something on your screenshots that shares the copy of it. So if they're not coming to this page at all, it's irrelevant. But if they are coming to this page, if they're actually clicking through, if they're doing pull-up coach and they're finding it and they're getting to this page, then the next thing they're going to be looking at is the screenshots, and it doesn't really say what it is. If you could easily go on to Google Stock Image, not Google Stock Image, you go to Adobe Stock Images, you can go to Unsplash, you can go anywhere, and I'm sure you can find some stock images of people who are just ripped or doing pull-ups or whatever, and use that kind of stuff. So, but that's just my opinion. I mean, the rest of you guys let Hawk know there too. Let's see. BizYG, thanks for taking a look at my game. I'll change the keywords video and release it to production. Cool. Alexander says, "What's up, gangsta? What's up, Alexander? What do you think about AdMob's strict rules over your friends downloading your app and serving ads to them?" Do they have rules about that? I think as long as they're not clicking on the ads. I mean, the only people who should be clicking on the ads are people who are interested in the products and services on the ads. One of the scary things is when you have a friend who says, "Hey man, I downloaded your app and I clicked on those ads for you," right? And it's like, don't do that, right? It's just, don't game the system. Like, don't help me out that way. Just do whatever. So I imagine they would have something there, but that's cool. Educate TV, hey, how's it going? You haven't been here for a while. Jacob Pompey says, how to start marketing with apps. Think for the thing you should start with is thinking about your target user. If you don't know who your target user is, then you don't know who to market to, how to advertise to. So I think that's probably the big thing. It's a vague question, but Anime XP says, AdMob just disabled my account with $85,000 balance. Hopefully you'll get that. It's why did they suspend it? Did they give you a reason? Jacob Pumpy says, what are your earnings from AdMob when you had about 10,000 downloads on one app? I can't remember. I don't think it was. I can't remember. It really does. It's almost like there was a point. I mean, it doesn't really matter how many downloads you have. It was how many ads you're serving. So like, it was one point where I was only serving interstitial ads once every 4 times the app opened, and then when I increased it to to every time the app opened, or so everybody got an interstitial. You get an interstitial ad. You get an interstitial ad. When I went to that point, then I saw things start to pick up, and I didn't see. And then, but it was like, it's a fine balance. Like, I have actually gone over the fact where I've had way too many ads, or I've had ads. So if I have a bad placement where an ad placement gets suspended, or stopped, temporarily suspended, then I have to go through and fix it, which is good, which is fine because you can fix it. And then I've also had others where I've served too many ads and I started getting complaints in the reviews. And I get some complaints in the reviews anyway, but like, we just have way too many complaints in the reviews, and it's that fine balance. Let's see. Julius says, what do you think is the best way to put ads in your app? For me, it depends on the specific type of app you have, according to CH Development. Like, I've never done native ads, but because I don't have an app that has like a list thing in it. So if I had something like with a feed or a list, then that would make sense to do something do something that way. So, but yeah, I think it depends on the app. But yeah, use an ad network. Let's see. My VIP says, "Hey Eric, how much hours you spend on a day on your own app?" Not enough, hardly any. It's terrible for me to say that, but yeah, hardly any. Lawrence Nichols says, hey, how's it going, Lawrence? Let's see. Raris Cruciat says, today I published an app on Google Play called Code News for Programmers. It's a simple news app for programmers. I would appreciate you guys give it a try and give your feedback. So let's show this app here. Where is it? I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. It's Raris. Let's see. Here's a link. Let's go open a new tab. Cool. So let's share the screen here. So this is Raris app. Say Code News for Programmers. It's simple and clean, always up to date. I like the screenshots. What kind of news do you have on here? Let's see. JavaScript push. Cool. So if anybody has any feedback on that, let's see. CH Development banner ads are good that are used for long periods per session. Interstitial ads are good for apps where the usage session is not that long. Let's see. ChordFunk says, sorry, let me go back to video. ChordFunk says, have you looked at ReactiveX? I haven't. Not at all. I'm not sure. Is that? No, I haven't. No, I'll have to look at it. Julius, good alternatives for Flutter? I'm not aware of any. I'm not aware of any at the moment. I guess it would be React Native, right? It would be, for me, it's there might be like, there's React Native, there's NativeScript. My whole thing with NativeScript is I don't see the community there as big, and maybe I'm wrong about that. Abendan Tiagi says, hey, would you recommend independent devs to go to medium or big publishers for the publishing? I mean, you are more likely to do well compared if you have done it yourself. Your views? Do I recommend independent devs going to medium or big publishers for the publishing? I don't know. I mean, I've never done it. Because I can't. I don't know enough about it. I don't like the idea of giving my app to somebody else to publish for me. And people have asked. Occasionally, I'll get an email from somebody saying, "Could you publish this app like on my Play Store for them?" And again, I don't like that idea either. I prefer having my own brand now, because there's not that many big brands that you would go with. Like, it's not like a book publisher, unless the big app publisher had some sort of track record and an advertising budget, and they could actually help you out. Let's see. Rodrigo says, about Amazon App Store, they just released an API to programmatically upload APKs and etc. Maybe Fastlane implements those APIs and we can put apps there faster. Yeah, I remember they released that as under beta a few years ago, and I applied to go on the beta program and I wasn't accepted. Oh, it automatically shows the unreleased app when it's an open beta. Oh, I didn't realize that. Let's see. Hawks app is in beta. That's why there's no reviews. Okay, sorry about that. So that makes sense. Get Us TM says, hey, can you suggest how I promote my game further? Because it has around 100 downloads in total and it's not really growing. It's called Cloud Avoider. All right, let's go look at Cloud Avoider here. So this one is, we're going to have a look at this for, let's have a look. So this is Cloud Avoider for Get Us TM. Let's see, Cloud Avoider. I assume it's this one. Getamus. Cool. So you're a balloon and you go up and you're avoiding the square clouds. So I would think, for me, I go back to let's start with first of all, who's going to be looking for it? Who are the target audience? What are they going to be searching for? And when they see that, so like if I was going to search for this, I wouldn't look for cloud games or cloud avoid games because I wouldn't know what to look for, but I might think about Endless Runner, or I might think about a similar type of game in order to find it. So this is one of the hard things with a game like this. And then also you might want to play around with the icon, but it really depends on how it's showing up. So like if I were to go look at this through App Annie, Avoider game. So Avoider game, you're ranked number 2, but how often are people searching that? Cloud Runner, that sounds pretty good. But it depends on what people are searching. So but that would be mine. So if anybody has anything else to add there, please let us know. Let's see. The Stroke blog says, hi, how do you add image assets? Can you just take images from Google searches? No, you can't. Let's go back to the screen. So you have to think about where you get images from, and I don't know if I want to do this because I know the rules are always changing. My understanding might not be what everyone does, but let's say we go to images.google.com, and let's say and this is this is the Stroke blogs. Let's say I want to do one for pull-ups. So I got my pull-ups application, Pull-Up Coach, and I want to do search for pull-ups. Right, so I would come up with all these cool images. Now these are not images that I can use, but if I go up to tools and I go to usage rights, you got labeled for reuse with modifications, labeled for reuse, labeled for reuse for non-commercial use. Now if I was going to label for reuse with modification, then I would have one at pixels, free stock photos.biz, etc., etc., etc. So at this point I could go through and start going through and finding those images that I want using Google image search. Let's say I could take this one from Pixel Bay. I go visit that page, and then this might be one that I want to use. But again, I would still read the terms and conditions because that's going by what Google says. And if you get to the point where somebody's not doing it, so this is clicker-free vector images. Let's go through, look at the Pixel Bay license, free for commercial use, no attribution acquired. So this might be something that you could use for an image icon, for the image one. I think it would look bad. I'm sure lots of other people are using it, but you have to look at the usage rights of the images if you're going to use Google Images. For me, I use there's also I use Adobe stock just because I pay for the Adobe suite anyway, and I get that. And but like another one is Unsplash. Unsplash.com is more images rather than vector images. So here you've got free photos. You can use it, so people upload to this. So I was going to do pull-ups. I don't know if pull-ups would be on here. Oh yeah, there's actually a few pull-up things here. So like if I was going to do my screenshots for the pull-up coach, maybe I might use some of these. And you have to look at whether or not you should attribute them. But let's say I had pull-up coach in the front of this one, and it's just another way of doing that. Or if I want to just do whatever. And again, this is not legal advice. This is what I do. Another one I've used is Photo Dooms. So if you want to use some of these, that might be possible too. So yeah, you can't just use any image from Google Images because most of the time. Let's go back here. Let's go back to Google Images. We do pull-ups, and let's just take away that settings. Let's do not filtered by license. So let's say I go to this one. This is something from life.spartan. This is actually an image that they own, that they've taken. Either they purchased it from the photographer or they own the rights to use it, but you do not have the rights to use it. So don't use this one, because if they found it, then they could sue you or whatever, get your app removed, etc., etc., etc. So don't, and you'd be surprised. I've had developers who use images from Google Images and didn't tell me about it, and then I have to say, where does this image come from? And then they'll point me to the page. I'm like, dude, we can't use this. So so always keep that in mind. Let's see. Simo Play says, Eric, a company filed a dispute against my app, and the reason is this app name sounds like their app name, or our apps have different names. Is it worth fighting it, or I'll just change it? It depends. It depends. It depends on how much you like the name. Yeah, I think it depends on how much you like the name. If it's worth fighting for, I think, is what I'm saying. Let's see. Simo Play says on the App Store, not on Google Play. Yeah, I would think fight it if you really like it. Let's see. Carol VDW says, does anyone have any idea what's happening with AdMob native ads? They would fit really well in one of my apps. I thought they still have native ads, but they just changed them, didn't they? They went from native ads. God, what is it? They changed them from one to another, didn't they? That's what I thought. Annie XP says, no, didn't get any email regarding account termination. They didn't respond to my appeals. Yeah, I think keep going after it. Maybe do they have a different email address for you? ReactX is RxJS for JavaScript and RxDart. It's a library that deals with the streams of data. It's neat stuff. If you like functional programming, I think you'll like it. I'll have to look at that. I've never been one much for functional programming though. But yeah, I'll have a look at it. Let's see. Live for Tech says, can you give a beginner tips for freelancing? I think the best thing you could do is build up your portfolio, right? There's a reason why somebody would hire you over somebody else, and you have to think about what that would be. And if you're going to be a freelancer, you think, why would somebody hire you? And because if you could just set up on Upwork and say, I'm an Android developer and I haven't done anything, or I'm an Android developer, and then that's it. You think, how do you stand up? You would have to actually think about your portfolio and how things worked in the past. Let's see. Glenn Ferris says, no question for me tonight, just here to chill. Just chill out, Glenn. Don't worry about it. Let's see. Pexels.com. Cool. So unsplash grants, irrevocable, non-reclusive worldwide license. Yeah. So yeah, including including for commercial purposes. I think I need to finish up this live stream because I'm starting to mumble. Let's see. Play Store suspended my account. What can I do? All you could do is appeal it. You could try to set up again somewhere, but I don't know how well that would work. Yeah, all you could do. I mean, they own the cards, or start focusing on one of the other app stores. If you can't get that back, I'm sorry. I don't know a better way other than appealing it. Josh says, Eric, how much time should you spend on an app oriented towards generated profit? I think every app should have profit at some consideration, but how much time should you do towards it? If you have something on the side, it depends. That's a really difficult question to answer. And this is the last question I'm going to do from Simo Plays, who says, thank you, Eric. I have one more question. Is there a way to know how many people are searching for a certain keyword in the App Store? So if you look at Google search ads, they used to have a way that you could look at that and you could find out what it was. So when you would go into Google search ads, don't actually create the ad, but go through it and it would show you the popularity of that keyword. That's what they used to do in the beginning. Like, it was a couple years ago, and I think it's still there, but I think that's something to look after. So anyway, so after Abinand Tiagi says, is it better to put my app on Apple or Google Play or Google first? I think Google first. Well, it depends. At the moment, I think they're kind of the same. But if you put it on Google first, you could test it out on the market without having to go through the review process. Let's see, Josh, thanks for the live stream. Everybody, hey, thanks very much for coming to the live stream this week. We have the Overpass Insights. I'm gonna get used to saying that. Overpass Insights video tomorrow. We'll do the live stream again next week. I hope I've been able to answer everybody's questions. If I haven't, I'm sorry about that. We'll try to get to it next week, but I need to get running here because it's just getting a bit late on the stream. But thanks so much, everybody, for showing up, and I'll talk to you again. I'll talk to you guys on the not the daily video, Overpass Insights tomorrow, and on the live stream next week. Talk to you later. Bye.
Taking this blindfold off to see what this life's all about. Threw my virtues to the